Ex-cons, what is the most fucked up thing about prison that nobody knows about? It's never quiet. When you get out, the feeling of soft carpet on your bare feet is borderline orgasmic and you'll never take it for granted again. On a slightly lighter side, a sort of family friend recently got out of prison after 18 years for holding up a gas station for drug money. My uncle was his friend, and when the guy got out, my uncle said, "Man, there's this show you're gonna love called Game of Thrones." The guy laughed and said he was current on it. The in-prison black market was his source for a tiny 2-inch battery-powered screen and micro SD cards with the episodes on it. Every now and then it would be confiscated as contraband and he'd have to save up for a month to buy another. He also had a prison cat that knew to leave his cell before morning activities and to come back after lights out. He'd feed it little chunks of meat he smuggled out of the mess hall. One big thing for him was making sure to train the cat who to go to next, because there's definitely some people that would have killed it just for the unique experience. Edit. Humorously enough, my brother found the post and corrected something. He says the tiny little TV was something they were allowed to have, but the SD cards were what was contraband. Apologies for the mistake. Not in prison, but I volunteer in one. One time I was chatting up this huge black dude and I asked him what he did in his free time. He said he played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. I was shocked. On the outside he would never be mistaken for a D&D player. White guy on the other side of me told me that D&D was huge in prison. I had no idea. Also, same guy makes tacos for everyone else and makes money doing it. I think he has a hot plate in his cell and uses commissary items as ingredients. The smell. My friend who is in a correctional facility in Michigan says it smells like open ass 24/7. Was listening to a podcast on the West Memphis 3. TL. 3 dudes got life in prison for murdering a bunch of kids, but they were actually all innocent. One of the guys said the worst thing about prison was that during the summer, there was a million mosquitoes in his cell. The entire wall of his cell was red from the blood of all the dead mosquitoes he would slap and punch every day. They would be in his cell 24/7 just stinging him non-stop. While he slept, while he was taking a dump, while he was jerking off. It never ended. Most summer days he would just lay on the floor crying, wishing for death. They take your mugshot. Last. Suddenly Lindsay Lohan's mugshot progression makes so much more sense. My brother is a CO, and he told us why their inmates have shampoo and soap that comes in packets now. They used to have it in little bottles. Well, the guys would use up all their soap, and instead of throwing the bottle away, they would keep it and fill it with a combination of whatever bodily fluids they felt was appropriate and use it to hold up other inmates for their commissary. Like, if you don't give me your commissary, I'm going to squirt this bottle in your face. And when they said no and got squirted in the face, they got pinky. My brother said a lot of people had pinky. Shit was always one of the ingredients in the bottle. Edit. Since so many people keep asking, commissary is like a general store for prison jail. They have food items, toiletries, and other things. Although I don't know the specifics. Inmates get money in their commissary account either from their family or from whatever work they do, if that's a thing where they are. Also, I can't believe my most upvoted comment ever is about a shit story my brother told me. Not a felon, but the wife of one. There are an unbelievable amount of rules that have to be followed, even for visitors. Some of them you can pick the rationale out, but a lot are just rules for the sake of rules. You don't follow, you get punished. The whole point seems to be to try and get you bothered, and remind you that you're powerless. Want to visit your loved one? Show up and wait to be called. You can't stand in this part of the lobby. Everyone on that side of the lobby, behind the blue line. No one goes in unless everyone's behind the line. When you filled out your paperwork, you used a line instead of an X in the checkbox. You have to redo everything, and your paperwork goes to the bottom of the pile. You better have read the 3 pages of dress code rules. If you did something wrong you don't find out, you need to change until you're about to go in. Hope you brought an extra outfit in your trunk or you're off to find a Walmart. You're wearing the same outfit you've worn the last 4 times you visited? Too bad. The HBIC on duty today says you have to change. The whole thing is like going through the tar at the airport, except the disgruntled, power-tripping government employees follow you onto the plane and you don't actually get to go anywhere. Shit bombing. I had a friend go to prison for a drug-related crime. He had his own cell and stuck to himself for the most part. Another inmate shit into a water bottle and filled it to the brim with water and mixed it up into a slush. Said inmate then took the water bottle to my friend's cell, placed at the slit at the bottom of his cell door, and fucking stomped on it. Shit water sprayed absolutely everywhere, while my friend was in the cell too. Lots of officers sleeping on the job. I worked at a jail in mental health and once got trapped in a pod during a huge fight because the guard was asleep. I realize they work long hours, etc., but this particular individual was a consistent issue. A cigarette in prison consists of the following. Take a regular cigarette out of the pack. Cut the tobacco portion of that cigarette into 4 equal parts. Remove the tobacco from each of those separated portions and reroll it using Bible pages into 4 mini cigarettes called a clip. Sell each clip for $2 to $4. A cigarette out of that pack can be sold whole for between $10 to $20 each. Edit. Here is the currency conversion for the prison where I was incarcerated. 1 ramen noodle soup equals $1. 1 mackerel fish pouch equals $1.50. Bag of coffee equals $8. New bar of ivory soap equals $2. 1 pack of duplex cookies equals $2. Bed made equals $1. Laundered t-shirt equals $1. Tattoo equals $20. $50. Depends on how many hours spent. Fellatio in fast stall equals $5. All part of the cigarette clips tobacco trade. It was very common for someone to walk around the yard picking up fully smoked cigarettes to shake out the last few crumbs of tobacco for rolling into a clip. Most people were fine just buying a clip or 2 that would last them for the entire evening. If someone saw you smoking a Cadillac, you are either going to have to share that Cadillac or fight again. A Cadillac is a full factory rolled standard cigarette. Someone asked about a hot oil shower in a buried comment. A hot oil shower is when an inmate will take a cup of baby oil and heat it up in the microwave to the point of almost boiling the oil. This is done late at night so that you can take that hot oil and throw it in somebody's face while they are asleep, which will burn the skin off of their face. It's a very effective attack weapon. My dad was in prison. In his situation, and in many others, you feel immense guilt after getting to know your fellow inmates. Because you're gonna get out, and they're not, ever. Not me, but my mother. They had to put her in her own area because she was pregnant and people kept threatening the baby. It also happened that her cellmate was a woman who boiled her child alive and ate it, which this happened before the woman went to jail, not during the time she was incarcerated. Edit. I should have said in the beginning it was a county jail, not big time prison. Edit 2. Spelling edit 3. Had to add in a time reference for the cannibal woman because some people don't know how to read properly. For a non-Western prison in an anonymous country, they keep statistics on inmates, but often report false cause of death. When a prisoner is found tied to a bed beaten to death, he would be checked into hospital for a week before they finally report his death due to natural causes like cardiac arrest or dehydration. Administration staff do not want to get involved in keeping order, so they have a group of prisoners they elect to do it for them. This means this group gets special privileges from administration staff, where they turn a blind eye to abuse for the sake of keeping order. The ruling group gets unlimited power to extort, abuse and otherwise exploit everyone else, as long as they keep violence in the rest of the population down. The official staff keeps a distance and away from harm, but the rest of the prisoners are subject to a ruthless gang. The administration staff only interferes if their elected group does not keep order, which is when they elect a different gang to the role. Administration staff will manipulate rebellious inmates. They will create sympathy between the inmate and themselves and encourage them to stand up for what's right. They say they have a plan to help and continue meeting with these inmates. But any inmate that has repeated meetings with administration staff is seen as a tattletale that reports other inmate offenses. When others find out they meet with administration regularly, they do not last long. This is how the official staff remove people that rebel against the system. Then they report their death as a natural cause. 1 week later. Everyone knows to stay out of this business, but sometimes people get trapped. Inmates will accuse other inmates they don't like of being tattletales to get them removed. They have no way out. They cannot go to the administration staff because they keep this system alive, and they cannot communicate with the outside world because all communication is intercepted. Not exactly a secret, but prisons make $$$ off commissary. Many PPL think the prison system purposely underfeeds its inmates, so they are more compelled to buy off them $1.50 for 75-cent pastries, ramen packs for $1, prob .33 CEPA, $10 for $1 long johns, etc. etc. Also the insane costs for phone calls. Honestly, there isn't any hidden truth about prison. Everything gets covered in the movies to one degree or another. Some of it's accurate and other parts are blown out of proportion, but the basic idea is displayed. The thing that most members of the public don't get is that it's a soul-crushing and dehumanizing experience that 99% of the time just makes people worse. Our prison systems, in the West, aren't about rehabilitation. They're about punishment and profit. They're about appearing tough on crime, etc. And what do people have to look forward to after they have paid their debt to society? Ongoing discrimination, social isolation, etc. Basic things like getting a job, applying for a rental property, getting utilities connected. There's a good reason why recidivism rates are at 80% or so, depending on how many years it takes to return.